This is Isaiah 32 and verse 9 in the NLT. Listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug. Ephesians 5, starting at the 15th verse. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakadash. These blessings to the elect that are listening and learning the Akim Wak, Wakiyam, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and the elder bishops. Much respect to the mighty Kabar Yum on the highways and hedges bidding Yasha'ah to the marriage, and to the Kabari making videos of edification to wake up the lost sheep, and salutations to the elect scattered abroad that beat unto the speckled bird. So here before me, another article. Now I believe there were a mass number of prisoners that were released, I want to say a year or two ago, maybe a year ago. And I believe that was in the UK. Okay. And there's no coincidence that since these prisoners have been released on the streets, there have been a lot of more rapings and SA, which is, short for sexual assaults. Okay. Primarily on the weaker vessel, which is the woman. Okay. And as I said, there's no coincidence. As you see in, social media, in the movies and so on and so forth, these platforms, mostly, female platforms and things like that. Okay. Sexual morality and promiscuousness and, harlot apparel is all over the place. So the Lord is bringing judgment. See, the Lord is bringing balance back into the earth. The more these wicked women are gathering abroad, guess what? More of these wicked men are targeting them. So let's get into this article. It says 1,100 prisoners to be freed next week in second round of early releases. So it says another 1,100 prisoners are due to be released early next week as the government continues to battle with jail overcrowding. The prisoners from the second round of early releases under a policy introduced early in the government's term to reduce the proportion of a sentence most offenders must serve behind bars from 50% to 40%. The first round of releases in mid-September saw 1,700 inmates set free early and helped the prison population fall from a record of 88,521 to 86,333. Numbers have since risen again, reaching 87,028 on Friday, just below the levels seen when Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmoud announced the plans in January. So there is a mass release of prisoners. Now, it's probably not the major crimes like, homicide, so on and so forth. A lot of them is getting released on minor crimes like domestic violence, probably, marijuana, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, according to Bible prophecy, there's going to be many wicked men that's going to be running rampant. Okay. And this is all part of Jacob's troubles in Jeremiah 30:7. When all hell breaks loose. See, these certain things are happening now while America has some sort of law enforcement, some sort of government. But what's going to happen when all hell breaks loose, man? When there is no government, when there is no law, when there is no order? Let's get this real quick. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. Let's start at verse 15. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Okay? So you got to also remember, home invasions have come back. Home invasions have come back. Okay? And you're going to have a lot of these prisoners who were wrongly accused, who were placed in prison under false pretenses of rape, domestic violence, so on and so forth. So these men are going to be coming back for revenge. You have women that leave their men to be with other men. Scripture says jealousy is a rage of a man. So when there's no order, these men will be coming in these houses, man, not giving a hell who's in the houses, man. And they will exact their revenge. That goes into Sirach 39, the spirits that are created for vengeance. All right? Let's continue. Verse 16 says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces, right? Because you got to remember, it tells us in Matthew, I think it's Matthew, the 24th chapter, that iniquity shall abound and the love of many shall wax cold. So they're not going to have any remorse for children. Verse 16, I read it in its entirety. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, right? There's going to be robbing. There's going to be theft, especially when 2 Ezra 6:22, right? When the food shortages hit. That's when you're going to have 2 Ezra 15, verse 15 through 16 through 17, which is going to go into martial law. I read Isaiah 13 and 16 in its entirety. Their children shall also be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled. And guess what? And their wives ravished. Okay? So to all these Instagram models, all these women who want to go out all hours of the night with harlot apparel, you have to understand that men are very visual creatures. And what we like, we remember. So to those who are, doing these things on the internet, on these platforms to get money, these men know where you live and they know how you look. So when that time comes, you women will be chased down. I believe the Elder Malcolm says that, you women like to ride the car carousel, but guess what? When all hell break loose, that carousel is going to ride you. Okay? Let's continue. It says, Miss Mahmoud had warned then that prisoners risk running out of space, potentially causing the collapse of the justice system, as courts would have nowhere to send convicted criminals. The early release scheme does not apply to some inmates, including those convicted of sexual. I just said this. These convicted of sexual, domestic abuse, or terrorism offenses, or violent offenses serving sentences more than 4 years. Now, guess what? Like I said, when all hell break loose, those who are convicted of these crimes will be running amok on the streets. All right. Just picture that movie, The First Purge. Gangs, okay, especially those who are part of hate groups. We're hearing more and more so-called white supremacist groups increasing, okay? And they're going to come after Jake, especially you wicked Israelite women, you wicked Eves, okay? Let's continue. September saw 37 inmates released in error after the sentences had not been correctly logged. Ms. Mahmoud confirmed on Thursday that all 37 were back in custody. Ms. Mahmoud is expected to launch a review of sentencing during the week, which is likely to consider several reforms, including whether tougher community sentences will be more effective than short spells in prison. I actually want to get this. Because we talked about in, I think, Isaiah the 13th chapter about, children being dashed to pieces, houses spoiled, and their wives ravished, right? Now, that's going to go for the wicked. Now, what's going to happen for women who continue in godliness, right? Let's go to First Timothy. All right, we got to have balance. Got to have balance. First Timothy 2. Let's just get to the point. As a matter of fact, nope. Let's start at verse 9. Because I talked about, women in harlot apparel and doing things that are against the Lord as far as modesty is concerned. First Timothy 2 and 9 says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array. Why is that? Because these types of if you want to call it fashion, attract the wrong attention. Women are always online saying, why do I always attract toxic men? Why do I always attract this type of man? Well, take accountability, understanding that the clothes, the things that you wear attract certain things, man. Okay? For example, a man who's out there on the streets with a red bandana or a blue bandana or a yellow bandana, whatever type of bandana hanging out his back pocket, and he looks like a thug, is going to attract what? Gang violence and the police. So if you're a woman that wears harlot apparel, what are you going to attract? You're going to attract wicked men who want to ruin your lives, who want to take advantage of you. Like the scripture says, a wicked woman is given to a portion to a wicked man. Okay? Let's jump down to verse 15. It says, notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety, right? So if they continue in faith and charity and holiness, to me, holiness is being separate from the ways of the world. That means if a woman calls herself holy, she's going to what? Separate herself from the worldly ways, how the world promotes women. The world promotes women to be whores. The world promotes whoredom. But a woman that calls herself holy says, nah, F that. I'm going to be a modest woman. I'm going to be a virtuous woman. Why? Because when all hell breaks loose, I want to be with a man in the Lord. I want to be under a righteous hedge, right? Let's get that real quick and we'll continue with the article. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go back to Isaiah, actually, the 13th chapter. And let's go down to verse 11, okay? Isaiah 13:11, it says, and I will punish the world for their evil. So the Lord is bringing judgment, and the wicked of their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. This goes into Esau, Edom, because Esau, Edom is the number one prideful man, but also what? The strong, independent, I don't need no man, black woman, okay? And it says, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Verse 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. This is going into what? A man of the Lord. Because yes, you're going to have some men that's going to have military tactics, that's going to have martial arts ability, that's going to have survival skills. But at the end of the day, if you're not of the elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you are not going to make it. And the women are going to see that. And the women are going to recognize that the men of the Lord, who are starting with the elder apostle of Great Millstone and on down, are going to have that spiritual power to be what? One with the beasts of the field, to be one with the stones of the field. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to guide those righteous men, okay, to salvation. And a woman will see that and cling on to them. That's what goes to Isaiah 4:1. Isaiah 13:12 says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Now let's go to Isaiah 4:1 and we get back to the article. And it says, and in that day, as a matter of fact, let's Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women should take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, saying, hey, Guess what? We can take care of ourselves. You don't have to worry about feeding us. You don't worry about clothing us, right? But here's the catch. It says, only let us be called by thy name. Now, how is a woman called by a man's name? Well, when he takes her for marriage. That's why when a woman and man become one and they get a marriage certificate, according to the government, that woman takes on the last name of that man. Okay? Isaiah 41 in its entirety. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, which means take away our shame. So right now, yes, a lot of these women are saying, I, woman, hear me roar. At the end of the day, these articles are showing a different story. But anyways, let's continue. It says, this follows her announcement that magistrates' sentencing powers will be doubled again, allowing them to jail criminals for up to a year. The move is intended to ease the backlog in the crowd courts and reduce the numbers waiting to receive sentences. But the Justice Secretary acknowledged this would initially see a slight increase in overall prison population. But the Criminal Bar Association warned that extending magistrates' powers was a short-term and long-term backfire, as it could sharply increase the overall prison population within a matter of months. And when the prisons are too overpopulated, that's when you have the release of prisoners. And when that goes around, when that happens, man, that's when crime will continue to increase. All right. There is no Wonder Womans and Catwomans, man. There is no Candace from the Hunger Games. This is real life. This is real life, man. And only a man of the Lord will be your hiding place. Let's get that. Isaiah 32. It's Isaiah 32 and 2. And it says, a man shall be as in hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest. Now, this is talking about what? What's the wind and what's the tempest? That means that wave of destruction that's going to be caused by the thermonuclear missiles. It says a man shall be a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place. Why? Because the men of the Lord will have the bellies of living water, which is the doctrine of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. They will also have the name of the Lord and the name of his son, that strong tower, right? And the chief cornerstone. Isaiah 32 and 2 in its entirety. And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So that dry place is here, Babylon, which has no truth. And that's the shadow of a great rock. Guess what? We're going to be in the name of Yahushai. Yahushai is that great rock. Okay, so we're going to be what? See, Yahushai is that great rock that shields us. But guess what? The men of the Lord is also going to be that rock that's going to shield the women. See how that works? So all this, bark but no bite with these women, man, it's going to be devastating. This is Isaiah 3 in verse 18. It says, and in that day, the Lord shall take away the bravery. Because women, what? Think they're the shit with their clothes, with their apparel, all right, with their makeup. They're creating all types of high standards for men, so on and so forth. Isaiah 3 and 18 says, in that day, the Lord will take away their bravery of their twinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel and the mantles of the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. So these stores will be closed and destroyed. Okay, all types of mayhem. And Shalom, beloved brother Chazak Ban Yahawada. Shalom wa barakatam. This is well, let me get this. Yep. This is 2nd Esdras 15 and 18 by the brother Chazak Ban Yahawada. If it goes on the screen, there we go. It says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Now, if men shall be afraid, how much more the woman? Like I said, that picture that you seen, that feminist picture with the woman with the handkerchief around the head, and she's holding up the bicep, talking about we can do it. All that shit is gonna go out the window. Okay. This is Proverbs 27 and 12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself behind what? That great rock, Yahushua, right? And also in that strong tower, Yahweh. But the simple pass on and are punished. And we understand that Job 39:17 said that the Lord has not given a woman understanding nor endowed her with wisdom. So she's going to be easily what? Beguiled by the serpent. And this is why a whole bunch of these women who are doing these OnlyFans and all this crap, man, are being targeted by the spirits created for vengeance because they're not walking in the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. Yep, this is Sirach 39:28. Their spirits are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. I posted an article, I want to say a day ago, about these two men who posed as Uber drivers. Okay, they snatched up this chick, and guess what they did with her? You already know. They had their way with her, man. There was an article that I posted a couple of days ago of this Eve that was a detective. Guess what happened? Men kicked down her door and they took her ass out, man. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have a gun. It doesn't matter what type of martial art or how many martial arts you know. If the Lord has it out for you to be destroyed, you're gonna be destroyed. Walk in the fear of the Lord. Okay? You have to walk in the fear of the Lord. All right, let me end off. I want to go back to Isaiah 32. Isaiah 32, and I'm going to start at verse 9 again. I'm going to read down to verse 11 and we'll close out. This is Isaiah 32. As a matter of fact, let me go back to the NLT. Let's see what that says. Isaiah 32 in the NLT, verse 9. Listen, you women who lie around at ease, listen to me, you who are so smug. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care, right? So that's talking about to those women who liveth in pleasure. It says, for your fruit crops will fail and the harvest will never take place. So when you think about fruit crops and harvest, you think about what? You think about an abundance of good things. Well, guess what? All those things are going to go out the window. Verse 11, tremble, you women of ease. Throw off your complacency. That means, it's time to get used to being uncomfortable. Strip off your pretty clothes. We just read that in Isaiah, the 3rd chapter. I think starting at the 18th verse. And it says, and put on a burlap to show your grief. So the Lord is saying, playtime is over, especially to you prideful women. Playtime is over. It's time to know what the fear of the Lord is. So I pray that y'all will edify. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rabachak Dash, and Shalom to Khan Bath Gad, and Shalom to the brother Kazak Ban Yahweh there. Make sure y'all subscribe to the brother's channel. As the title says, over 1,000 prisoners to be set free. Evils are coming, especially for you wicked women. So fear Yahweh while Yahweh Shah. Shalom.